Michael, the games industry is undergoing a generational change, says Epic CEO Tim Sweeney. He's not exactly the CEO anymore. Didn't he step down?
I thought so, but
Me too.
for this story, we'll give him the CEO title.
yeah. PC gamer over at, with Andy Chalk. Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney said during his address at, Unreal Fest in Seattle. So I guess he's still there. He's just stepping away from certain things because he's got a bucket full of cash and pulled up to his house. But either way, he was at the Unreal Fest in Seattle. And while there's still uncertainty about exactly the metaverse, what that is going to be, the continuing growth of Fortnite and the failure of a number of high-profile, big-budget games to meet expectations is proof that represents the future of gaming. Fortnite hit, quote, new records in concurrency, end quote. Dude, that thing is still going. Like, it is
crazy.
Unreal. Sweeney said during his opening comments, achieving an all-time peak of 110 million active users over the previous holiday season. An accomplishment, he said, comes amidst a generational change in the games industry. Quote, one of the manifestations of that change we're seeing right now is that a lot of games are released with high budgets and they're not selling nearly as well as expected, end quote. Sweeney said, quote, whereas other games are going incredibly strong. What we're seeing is a real trend where players are gravitating toward the really big games where they can play with more of their friends, end quote. The perceived value of the game, he continued, quote, grows in proportion to the number of your friends that can connect to, end quote. For everything from playing games together to chatting by voice, watching virtual concerts, or, quote, doing other kinds of cool virtual things online. Some people will call it a metaverse, Sweeney said, and we're not all in agreement on that, what that means. Some people, when they hear the word metaverse, they think of what Facebook is doing with VR and now AR. Some people use the metaverse to describe everything they don't like about the current Fortnite season. Quote. Fair enough. Regardless of what you think of the moment-to-moment state of Fortnite, though, quote, it's new, it's exciting, and it's something that's never happened at this scale in the history of entertainment. End quote, Sweeney said. The evolving story of the ongoing live content updates are obviously a huge part of that. He attributed much of Fortnite's success to, quote, all the world's brands participating and dropping, and musicians reaching users, Disney and Star Wars, and others all coming together to create a world-class entertainment experience that's ever evolving and live. That's really what we think the future about gaming is about, end quote. I'm among those who raise an eyebrow whenever the topic of the metaverse comes up, but I won't argue with Sweeney's point. 7 years after Fortnite first launched, it remains an absolute juggernaut, and the biggest brands in entertainment are still lining up to get in. On the other side of the coin, Sweeney's mention of a slump among some big budgets standalone releases seems to point Suicide Squad, Final Fantasy 16, Starfield, and most pointedly Star Wars Outlaws have all been let down to some extent, even though they all carry the branding Sweeney is so enthusiastic about. Michael, interesting to see the industry changing from the big budget releases to the live service games that can't seem to stay afloat and more.
Yeah, I mean, this is, he mentions a couple things you and I talk about all the time, right? Number one, I mean, you talk about it all the time whenever a game comes out. You're like, oh, I want to play with my brother, or we were playing, and then he stopped, and so I don't have someone to play with. So I do think he kind of nailed it on the head. He can take it, in a weird Fortnite-centric way that, I don't want to argue with him on, but I do think he hit something on the head, right? If your friends are playing, you're more likely to play a game, and that's something that I think game companies need to really focus on. But the other thing, and I think one of us mentioned it the other day, gamers are finally starting to speak with their wallets, right? It used to be like, I'm going to buy this game, and I'll go post a bad review. We saw Star Wars Outlaws. They're saying, oh, well, our reviews are still good, at least on Metacritic. They didn't mention the fan scores being a little bit lower. And I think 5.4. They're like, no, we got a 75 out of 100 on Metacritic. No, you got to look at what the fans are saying. But no, I think what Sweeney's kind of pointing out to is when fans say, look, I don't want to play this game. This game doesn't look good. I don't hear good things about it. I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to buy it and now post a bad review. I'm just not going to straight buy it. And that's why I think a lot of these big titles, Suicide Squad, Star Wars Outlaws, they're not selling because people don't want them. And We'll see if the game industry actually listens, right? That's what you have to have a generational change. Right now, it's, hey, this game didn't sell and your whole studio's fired. Unfortunately, like, the higher-ups are still not listening to the gamers, but if Sweeney's noticing, hopefully that means we're moving in the right direction, Drew, that when we get a game we don't like and it doesn't sell well, we're telling the studios, hey, you messed up. Unfortunately, right now, all the companies see is the studio messed up, and that's the part that still needs a little bit of fixing for us to kind of get over this hump.
Just it. Like, take a look at Concord, prime example, right? Studio, I think, is right now in a lot of hot water. They're in big trouble, I think, as a studio, which is unfortunate because they have a solid game. It just hit at the wrong time. We talk about this all the time on the show, how Concord came out and then vanished in 2 weeks, like off the stores. You can't even buy that game now. Like, it's absolutely insane. Like, I know somebody who actually went and purchased a sealed copy of the game just to have it as a collector's item, right? Like, that's what a weird story that is. And then you take a look at Fortnite, right? We talk about games as service all the time. Everybody trying to hit that stride. Nobody can match Fortnite. Nobody can match what Fortnite does, right? They have the creative side where you can go in and create your own games, your own worlds, your own whatever you want to create over there. And then they have the battle royale. But they started with Save the World, which tanked, got into the battle royale scene of it all, took off, and now everybody's lining up at the door still to come in and let's do a brand thing. Let's do the NFL, I think, was there at one point too, right? You got Marvel, Star Wars is all over this because it's hitting, and it continues to hit 110 million users. Like, seriously? Holy man. Like, companies want a fraction of that pie, what Epic is able to achieve. I wonder who, if anybody, can overthrow Fortnite, because I just don't think it's possible right now. I honestly didn't think we'd still be talking about Fortnite 7 years later.